So next up is we're going to talk about some of the most common issues in SWEPT. Um, I do have a PDF that we're going to step through, and this PDF will also be available in SWEPT after the training. Let's see. All right. So one of the most common, I shouldn't say one of the most, common question that we get in regards to, SWEPT and the documents is when you're doing something like a type 2 or working on a section 4F form is the documents either coming in upside down, they are missing a digital signature. Sometimes when maps are uploaded and you have some shapes wanting to highlight a certain area, that might be missing as well. And there's absolutely a way to fix that. And it sounds, really silly, but the best thing to do is you open that PDF in, Adobe Reader or whatever your PDF, software may be, and you just do a file print and print to PDF. And this will, flatten the PDF so it removes, all of these separate layers, all of these separate, things, and it combines it in just to one flat file. And then you would upload that document into SWEPT, and then that your signatures would appear and your layer shapes, and it shouldn't be upside down at that point any longer. And of course, as always, if you're still continuing to have issues with any one of these things, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. Did anybody have any questions about the PDFs, kind of being goofy? Because I know, like I said, that's definitely the number one item we get in regards to some of our environmental documents. And,
Drew has his hand up. Go ahead, Andrew.
yes.
Yeah. Hey, so one thing I noticed recently, and maybe I'll try this trick. I uploaded a project location map, and then when I PDF the Type 2 CADX, the map was like only a quarter size of the page. It was like it was shrunk down.
Were
Does
you
that happen to
uploading?
anyone?
I'm wondering, did it upload when you added it? Was it a PDF or was it a JPEG, an image file?
I think it was a PDF. It's been a while since I looked at it.
Okay. Yeah,
Yeah, I'm not
absolutely.
sure what happened.
Yeah. Yeah, if you have an FN number for that, and can send it to me, I'll definitely take a look at it and see why it would be doing that. I know sometimes if it's a JPEG or a PNG and strict image file, they can get a little goofy, and that is something we're working on to make those, more accurate and flexible like the PDFs. But we're, still working on our PDF, framework there. But yeah, if you have, the FM number, feel free to send it to me, and I'll take a look at it.
So you would say probably the best route is to do the print the PDF and then upload the PDF.
Yep. Yep.
Okay,
I would try that first.
Yeah, I'll try that first.
Yep. And if that doesn't work, then, certainly let me know.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Let's see. Any other
additional
questions?
Additional questions popped into the chat.
All right. We will move on to our next item, and the FM number not found whenever users are creating a project. The most common issue or cause of this is whenever the FM number is not in an adopted status. It will often be in candidate status, and SWEPT, we only import items that are adopted and have funding. And what we recommend is that, if it's a consultant, coordinate with your DOT project manager, or DOT staff is that you work with your work program office to get it updated, and then it will, be available and swept within 24 hours. And, let's see. Any questions on that one?
Nothing has came in.
All right. Okay, next one is the data automatically imported from work program. Katie briefly touched on this in the demonstration video, and that is, those highlighted fields there, that is not something that users input. It is automatically pulled in with the FM number from work program. And, if any of that data is incorrect, you would work with the work program office to get it corrected. And then we will, now actually swept, we've had some recent updates to our work program, import process, is we run it 4 times a day. So, it should certainly be in there within just a few hours, but sometimes there can be hangups, from work program, and it might not be until the next day. But if you make a change like that and you don't see it within 24 hours, let us know and we'll take a look, because it shouldn't be longer than that. Let's see, the next one is finding a project after it was created. This can be common with emergency projects when you are, creating a lot of projects, back to back to back. And, okay, so you've gone on to different pages doing, and now you're ready to go back and either work on that checklist or, add some documentation to it. And you go up to the search bar in the upper right hand menu or upper right hand corner and type in your FM number, and it will tell you no projects, we can't find anything. The number one cause for that is it can take our search index around 15 minutes to recycle, to pick up those newly created projects. So the best way, if you're wanting to find one that you immediately, created and want to get back to, is going to that My Projects list on the swept homepage, where it lists out, all of the projects that you're associated with. It will be in there, as soon as you create it. Next one, funding changes on minor projects. This, it's kind of similar to, the delete feature, is that if, the project created a type 1 CE and funding has changed and now it's an NMSA, or, vice versa, that if the project is still in a draft status, it's very easily, we can change, the COA for it. That way it goes to whichever one it needs to be. However, if it's been approved, that can take a little bit longer, because one, we need to make sure that the project has not been associated to previous, audit monitoring events with FHWA, or it's been part of a self-assessment, criteria pull. In those situations, what we do and, recommend is that the project description gets updated with the line at the very beginning that the funding has now changed, and, you can find the most current project, here. And then, that way you can link the 2 projects together, and, it takes care of, if there's, it's an NMSA, but it's still showing as a type 1. There are, some situations like that when it's approved that, we are not able to completely remove it, and that's why. All right. Pasting tables in rich text areas are content boxes. So with it, we can do, they're certainly way more flexible than what they used to be. However, when it comes to pasting tables, we're still pretty limited into the type of tables that we can, paste into the rich text areas in Swept. One of the most, common problems sometimes that we'll see is if the table has been copied from a PDF or from Excel or some other source other than Word. So we recommend that when you are pasting content into Swept, that it does come from Word. And with that, Swept can only handle, pretty simple tables with that, basic header rows and content. And then, when it gets to tables that have a lot of, colors to them and formatting and doing that will not transfer over to Swept. And then if there's a lot of row spacing or row span and, call spans, especially in the middle of some of these tables, then that will not transfer well either. And what I generally end up doing when I get, the emails and stuff about that is I will, if I can, I get the original table from the user, but I take screen captures using something like Snagit or the snipping tool to, just take a screen capture of it, turn it into an image, and then upload that table as an image into Swept. Any questions on the tables? I know that's generally one of that, and sometimes there can be weird line breaks and spacing in the content of the PDFs. Brett.
Hi. Yeah, I just had a quick question. I've noticed that when we've uploaded screenshots of like tables into the tool, it looks fine in like the checklist or the form as you're editing it. But then when you go to print the PDF, the resolution gets like pretty
kind
bad.
of whacked out.
Yeah. Is there any way
Yeah.
to like maintain resolution in screenshots?
A lot of it would have to do, especially if you're doing the screenshot route, is what I tend to do is I will blow up the table as big as I can. And then I will take that screenshot. That way, when it's compressed in the PDF, then it tends to maintain that resolution a little bit better.
Okay. Thank you.
Because I know sometimes, some of the tables, they'll be smaller. And, if you take the screenshot at that size, then it's going to try and, that's how they can get distorted in the PDFs.
Got it. Thank you.
You're welcome. Let's see. Any other, these are some of the most common issues, that we encounter with Swept. Did anybody have any other questions about something that, for them, it's a common issue that you run into or encounter?
Andrew, go ahead.
Oh, yeah. So Stephanie, you mentioned it at the end of the discussion about the tables is the weird spacing and page breaks in the PDF. What can be the cause of that, and how can we avoid it?
That is something we're actually looking at right now. Sometimes what can happen is when Microsoft does a software update, there's a whole new bunch of, formatting tags in their document, behind the scenes that get added. And when that stuff gets copied and pasted over, when it's brand new like that, sometimes we haven't accounted for it. And so we have to go back and go through and then add and kind of reconfigure what we're doing. So it's an ever evolving process. Unfortunately, it's not a one-time stop shop and then it's going to be done forever. But one of the recent ones I'm seeing is that if you have, bold text or italicized text, it seems to be breaking in the middle of some of that text.
Mhm.
And I can certainly, whenever I see it, I go in and I can clean it up. But we're working on preventing that for future instances.
Okay, that makes sense. Thank you.
You're welcome. I thought thought I saw a couple of things.
Yeah,
pop
Martin
up.
had
Thank you.
his hand up at one point, unless that answered his question.
Yeah, I did kind of. It was similar. Whenever you use italics or you bold, it seems to add an extra space.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
there was another similar question in the chat about that, and hopefully that answered that we're working towards getting that fixed. However, we do have another question that popped up. How do you delete a draft reevaluation form that was created incorrectly?
Okay. For the the forms, project documents, and projects can only be deleted by the district environmental managers or the help desk. And what you could do is, coordinate with the district and, let them know, hey, this one, needs to be removed, and either they can delete it or, send us an email and we can take care of it.
Thank you. I don't see any more hands or any other questions coming into the chat right now.
Okay. All right. And like I said, this PDF will be available in SWEP too. Right. So some of our, resources outside of SWEP, we pointed out, in the videos, kind of talked about it was where you can find help in SWEP. There's also, places outside of SWEP. Of course, the first is we do have, under help, we've got a page with, just videos. And then we have a page with all of our printed documentation that's available. Then in addition to the SWEP help, there's the ETDM manual and the PD&E manual that's available on OEM's website. And we actually link, especially in like the type 2 and the SEER. We do it in other, forms, but not as heavily as those two. But we will link directly to the chapters in the PD&E manual, for the sections that you're working on. That way you don't have to open up the PD&E manual, all right, figure out where you need to go. You can just go directly there. And then some additional, training is also available on the FDOT OEM website. There's, different training tracks that you can do. There's some SWEPT available ones as well. And then we have our YouTube page that has, a slew of videos and webinars and recorded, other, trainings and things like that you're able to view to, find additional help.
And just to note real quick, if you are FDOT, please make sure you check Learning Curve for some of those training tracks to make sure you get credit there.
Yes, good tip. Let's see, any questions on, where you could find additional resources or, documentation for anything? There's a lot out there. It can be a bit overwhelming at times, but there's stuff out there. And, as always, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. I mean, like I said, that's what we're here for. I love talking to y'all and, getting your feedback, and we don't want you to be frustrated with what you're doing. So, please let us know. And it doesn't always have to be, an issue. If you have any suggestions or, hey, it would be nice if SWEP did this or we could do that, let us know and we'll, discuss it.
Yep, we do have every other Friday an ongoing meeting about the upcoming priorities and enhancements that both SWEPT and EST are scheduled for. We have a backlog, so as ideas and creations come in, we do add those there and try and prioritize them. The more people that request something, the hotter it kind of becomes. But we appreciate y'all taking the time to come chat with us and listen to this. As mentioned early on, we are working to update a lot of our SWEPT videos. Some of them are a little bit out of date. Some of them show a little bit of the older system. but we're working to get some of these newer trainings out to y'all.
Absolutely. So, all right. And I guess with that, if nobody had any additional questions or anything they wanted to chat about, y'all have a wonderful day.